Hi guys, Jay Smith here. Welcome to AskGolfNut channel and welcome to Titleist T250 2025 irons. It's brand new. The old one was the T200, which I will be testing the old V-New in a different video, so make sure you get down there, subscribe, etc., so you don't miss that one. But we are be testing the T250, and within reason, they've changed the name because they feel it's big enough difference between the old and new to justify a completely new number. We have the technology in this very similar to that of the old T200. It is not a complete re-engineering idea, it's more so an improvement, a change, a just nudging in the right direction over the old. So we still have that hollow body design, we still have the tungsten in there in the heel and toe as well. We have the variable face technology, that kind of little V slot they have in there to try and keep ball speeds up across the face. And of course, when it comes to that, I will be doing the heat map testing on this iron, the second half of the video, to see how good this iron is, this brand new iron is, at trying to keep ball speed up when you don't hit the middle. As you can see, this is the same hole that I did the T150 iron from, and it's all over water. And if I don't hit this well, I will be visiting that water as I did with the T150 review. But this one, you can see I've got the custom fit heads in here, which means I have got that little dot screw weight in the back. Don't worry, you will not be having this in your retail version. These are the custom fit heads, and that little weight in the back there, there's, for custom fitting purposes, you have the standard weight, which that silver one is, and you have a black weight. So when it comes to their T250 launch spec, which is exactly the same as this, however, it is very much so weaker lofted at 35 degrees for a 7-iron, where this is 30.5. So basically within reason, a whole club's different, but the head in itself is 6 grams lighter. And that will enable the lady golfers and also the junior golfers to potentially swing the head faster. Now there is a problem sometimes, obviously, when you take mass out of the head. That means you take MIY out of the head, you take mass out of the head from transferring into the ball, as in energy into the golf ball, which is a potential problem. And then also if you mishit it with a slightly less mass, etc. Anyway, I won't go into it. Top line on this one looks a little bit more, I wouldn't say chunky now, but down by the golf ball, definitely you see a fraction more offset. It's starting to get blade lengths a little bit bigger, etc. But still, this is a player's distance iron, so it's still looking pretty nice. Holy sugar plums, that is a different sound. Yep. That is really loud, like really loud. Club head speed 90.9 miles an hour, club path 1.5 from the inside, and face to path is 0.3 close, little baby draw dynamics. Slightly toe, 10 millimeters toe, 2 mil lie. I will not lie, I did not know that I hit it 10 millimeters toe, or not that much. It's getting a little bit more numb now when it comes to the nuance of strike, shall we say. It's going 176 yards of carry, 39 yards in the air, and 50 degrees descent angle. It's doing absolutely fine. Although, as you can see from the carry perspective, I'm glad I went a little bit left and not a little bit right, because if not, I think I would be in the drink. It does sound rather acoustically different to that of the T100 and the T150 that I've literally just done. So I'm probably going the wrong way. I'd need to do the T350 first, then the T200, and then the T150, etc. But it is a bit of a different one going to the 150 to the T250. So if you are thinking about blending, of which you can, because the looks of these irons, Titleist, you do know how to make decent, clean looking golf clubs, because the T250 does look really quite nice. It just still has that acoustic pop, shall we say, that high-pitched crack, which does give you a bit more feeling to it. But as you can see, performed rather nicely. I'm a soft blade-ish kind of player, so I like the soft, dull, dead tone. Not a hybrid, which this sounds very, very hybrid-like. Again, that's not ideal. That is a mishit. That is low and toe. It's still doing well. Now, this is a thing with the old T200, that was not great. That's not the greatest strike, but it done fairly well. Club head speed 91.5 miles an hour, club par, face to par, very decent, a little bit close. That's why it's going over to the left-hand side, but it's pretty darn decent. Carry 173, considering that's a 9 mil toe, 9 mil low, so not the best strike in the world at all, but it's single digit, just. Carry 173, 35 yards in the air, 48 degrees of centre angle. As you saw, it did stop, no problem whatsoever. It was just a little bit of a poor strike for me, but done pretty darn well. Really did. The feeling, we will not talk about it anymore because it does feel very loud, especially comparing it to the T100 and the T150. The T100 arguably is the nicest of the lot. The T150 is marginally louder, crisper, but yeah, they both feel exactly the same compared to this. This is definitely a little bit more in the poppy nature, shall we say. Give it another go. But, I mean, hit out the middle, and that's basically middle-ish. Oh, dear me. It's good, just loud. Club speed 90.1 miles an hour, club path, sight from the inside, 1.4 from the inside. Face is exactly half of that. Nice little baby drawback, 0.7 close. 6mm toe, 4mm low, so there's my pattern again of wanting to hit it fraction low toe. Carry 175 yards, 38 yards in the air, 49 degrees of centre. As you saw, I mean, it just stops, it does well. We have got decent distance, we've got decent stopping power. What are Titleist concentrating on for this family of irons? What is it, the 3Ds? Distance, dispersion and descent. There you go. But it's working well. Subject to the pilot here and how well they do, it just does absolutely fine. Just the only complaint, you know what it is. We will not speak of it anymore. We'll hit it one more go because I want to see how well this does from this hit. So I have not hit the middle the greatest on this one. I think the T100 is the best of the lot, but I've not been hitting the middle the best on these, but still doing absolutely fine. Also, 3 different swing speeds. How fast is this face? Can a slow swing speed golfer use this? What's it going to be like blending with the T150, etc. Right, last one before we go to the number side. That's a safe, that's a safe, that is safe. That water's terrible. Go on, stop on the green, don't roll off because it does go to, let's chip in. No, I'd probably putt it, to be fair. Club head speed 90.1 miles an hour, club path 0.9 from the inside. Face baby over closing, that's what's giving that little overturn to left hand side, but it is safe. 175 yards of carry, which isn't bad whatsoever. 8mm toe, 6mm low. So again, we are visiting slightly low toe as a pattern for me for this golf club today, and we are looking at 38 yards in the air, 50 degrees of centre angle, average 49.5, 50 degrees, let's be kind. It's just working really well. If it wasn't for that, for these greens are really hard and really quick, that would have absolutely stopped. Doing well. I can't complain at all, apart from one thing, of which I won't say anymore. Well, on this half of the video anyway, but it's working very, very well. Right, let's go hit it all over the face. Let's go with that heat map data, see how much drop off you get when you don't hit the middle. See what kind of golfer is going to be looking at this is going to be good or bad dependent. And also that 70, 80, and 90 miles an hour, 3 different swing speeds, all the different golfers swing at different speeds. And how well does the new T250 do when you start changing speed around? All the data is now captured for the Titleist T250 irons. Before we go into the forgiveness and the 3 different swing speeds, I will be talking about the T250 launch spec, their idea for a high launch option, but we'll talk about that after this. So on the screen you can see we've got the heat map data. This information, as though we're looking at it face on, effectively this is a map of how much ball speed is lost when you don't hit the middle. And so you can see the plus 22 on the top there, that is the toe section, minus 22 on the right hand side, that is the heel. You've got high and also low on there as well, and that blue line, that blue dotted dashed line is turf interaction line, which effectively means if you are going to hit the golf ball 5 or 6 millimeters or beyond high on the face, then you're going to be interacting with the ground first. You haven't got to worry about how efficient high on the face is, of which it isn't anyway if you're going to take a cubic yard of wherever you are in the world out first. Now if you are going to hit it high on the face because you are on a tee or you are in a rough situation where the ball is sitting up, it is extremely penal if you hit high on the face. The reason why we do not do any form of comparison high on the face is because as soon as you go high on the face, you are going to be losing a boatload of distance and efficiency, and also introduce a myriad of different twists and everything. So this is why we don't measure high on the face, because we just see such an aggressive drop off and such a weird and wonderful actions when it comes to the club. So just don't hit it high in the face. If you can at all possible, don't do it. Thin, heel, toe, anywhere but high. But you can go plus 20 millimeters or so off of the toe, and you can see you're only losing 2%. And if you have seen the previous Titleist T200 video where we see how well or bad that did, this is one heck of an upgrade compared to the old one. The old Titleist T200 did not fare well when it comes to its retention of ball speed when you don't hit the middle. Done very well out of the middle, but as soon as you deviate away, and I will be doing a old V new at one point in the future, but again, if you've seen that one and then seen this heat map, it is somewhat different. But if you go all the way to 20 millimeters on the heel though, we are now losing nearly 7%. We are just into, we're still 6, but we're very, very close to rounding to 7. And so you can see that the Titleist T250 does not like being hit off of the heel. Again, I wouldn't get too upset over the fact that you can go 20 millimeters or so of the heel and it's losing nearly 7% on the basis if you move 1 or 2 millimeters further on than that. As you can see in the overlay down the bottom left hand side, that red strip, that vertical red strip basically means if you are going to deviate 21, 22 or so millimeters away from the middle, then you are going to be interacting with a hosel, and then the golf ball is going to go off at a weird and wonderful angle. So I wouldn't really get too upset about the fact that it's losing 6 or nearly 7% from 20 millimeters heel. It doesn't do well, but again, that is a severe heel, and if you are hitting shots regularly from there, I would suggest coaching than anything to do with equipment. If you go down to 15, 16 or so millimeters low on the face, near on top territory, and it's losing in and around 3%, which is not bad at all, especially if you compare it to its old version. It is very, very good compared to the old version, this T250 over the T200. So now it's time to go into the radar chart. Radar chart is great because it gives you an understanding of how it compares against all other irons when it comes onto the database. The information that you see from the heat maps, the radar charts, and also the 3 different swing speeds that we'll see in a second is all available on my website, www.askgolfnut.com, where my website members will be able to choose whichever tier they want access to certain data. And of course, we'll be looking at the self-fit tool in a sec for the 3 different swing speeds, which is an amazing tool for understanding the flight of all the different 90 to 100 or so irons that we have on the database. But you can see on the screen we've got the radar chart and the player's distance average. Now of course the T250 is well into the player's distance category, and the player's distance irons are an interesting bunch. They are literally for the players that want more distance. They commonly aren't very good when it comes to its forgiveness because of the fact that they are relatively small in size and they have to be crammed full of technology to try and make it go faster. Players that want more distance, the key is in the name, and because of those constraints it's very difficult then to potentially get the forgiveness that you need because you've only got a certain amount to work with. But if we now add the Titleist T250 in comparison to the average of all the players' distance irons on the database, is an interesting one. If you look at the toe, going back to the heat maps and how well it did, it does very, very well. It's surprisingly very, very good. It's one of the best of the players' distance irons that I've tested off of toe hits. If you go to the heel though, you can see no different to the heat maps. You compare that to the average and it is considerably worse. Go to the low and again, it's a little bit better, not as surprisingly good off the toe that it is, but off low, it's doing surprisingly well. So of course, on average on its forgiveness, it is better. It is one of the best, or at least in the top tier of the players' distance irons for forgiveness or retention of ball speed when you don't hit the middle. When it comes to face speed, this side of the radar chart, this is the flight side of things, and this is a very more so personal idea for you. What do you need depending on what kind of golfer you are? So if you are a slow swing speed golfer, then you will need a fast face. Try to get as much distance as you possibly can do, as much ball speed into the shot as possible. And if you are a very, very fast swing speed golfer, you don't necessarily need to worry about face speed because you apply distance anyway because of your raw speed. So you can see the face speed on the Titleist is slightly lower. Now this is the interesting thing, and I think that's what Titleist have basically chose to change in the T250 over the T200. The T200 was quite quick when it comes to the middle, but it suffered because of its forgiveness. The middle was so fast they couldn't do anything else with the rest of the head, the face, to try and get the ball speed up even faster, because as soon as you move away from the middle you are going to lose speed. You can't help that. So you have to make the outsides even quicker. It's only a small player's distance chassis. There's only a certain amount you can do, and so that it suffered badly. When it comes to this one, the middle is not as quick, and so that means you don't have to do too much else when it comes to the outsides of the face to make it a little bit better, and you can see that is what Titleist have done. If you go face spin rate, now face spin rate, no different to face speed, and also launch factor we'll get to in a second, is loft for loft adjusted. Everything is loft for loft adjusted. That's the only way to make it fair. When you're looking at your custom fitting, you can go in the Titleist, say, all the way from a 35-degree 7-iron in the 620 series all the way to 26, 27 degrees when it comes to T400, its old battering ram of an option. So there is such a big difference of what is a 7-iron. There is no such thing as a traditional 7-iron loft because we keep on seeing different options. Now, so everything on this side of things to make it as fair as possible is all loft for loft adjusted. And so if you go see the face spin rate is slightly less than the average player's distance iron on the database. But if you look at its launch factor, and this is why it's doing very, very well, it's launching the golf ball very, very good. So launch factor is effectively this: whatever dynamic loft you deliver, and everyone will deliver a different amount of dynamic loft, how much dynamic loft does that golf club convert into physical launch angle? And that is imperative for golfers that don't swing very fast and need the golf ball to get launching as fast as possible. Now, of course, this is a side of things where it might be slightly different, because if you are a very fast swing speed golfer, you could argue why would you want to play as distance iron anyway. But if you are someone even that hasn't got a massively fast swing and even a medium speed swing, and you launch the golf ball really well, then you may not need a very high launch factor iron. So again, this side of the radar chart is very much so dependent and individual to the golfer viewing it. So let's go and have a look at the three different swing speeds. How does the T250 get on at all three different swing speeds, and what kind of golfer could use different lofts and different numbered irons? The great thing you can see on the self-fit tool, you've got the sliders at the top. We've got 17 miles an hour already selected, but you've got angle attack set at -2 and also shaft lean at -2. Angle attack is how much you come down into the golf ball. Some golfers hit down more than others, some golfers hit neutral, and some golfers even hit up at it. And then of course you've got shaft lean, which is effectively D-loft. How much do you take loft off in your shot? Some golfers even add loft in your shot, and if that's what you do as a commonality, you can just change the sliders to suit your delivery. And of course, with all the 100 or so irons that we've got on the database, you can select any one or two and compare them against each other with your individual delivery dynamics and see how the flights are going to be for you, and also more importantly the gappings as well. So when you're in your fittings and you understand that you're going to be hitting 7-irons, you don't necessarily know when you should be stopping. And there's no point going 4 to pitching wedge or 3 to pitching wedge just because that's what the fitter wants to sell you. If you're going to be looking at the 3-iron and the 4-iron is not going to be functional into a green whatsoever, and you're going to inevitably have to sell those or not use those and buy a hybrid or a high lofted fairy wood to try and make those longer irons, or longer shots at least, functional. You can save yourself a lot of money understanding what is going to work for you. But at 70 miles an hour, you can see with the 7-iron selected, we've got the max carry at 126 yards, average carry 122. Average carry is a measure of how much ball speed or how much yardage is dropped from a nominal miss. Now we've set the nominal miss to be a ½ inch away from the middle, 12.5 millimeters or so. And so you can see there, within reason, if you take an average of the misses from a ½ inch away from middle, you're losing around about 4 yards of carry, going 23 yards in the air and 43.5 degrees descent angle. Now at the slower swing speed around about sort of 70 or so miles an hour, where you kind of have to be, or grab as much as you can, 40 degrees is the absolute lowest number that I want to see. There's a descent angle control into a green. If you go anything lower than 40 degrees into the 30s, it will absolutely be the lap of the gods if it's going to stop or not. You have to be playing on a swamp for the ball to stop. Now you could argue that the 5-iron is 40.4 degrees. However, at 40.4, remember, these are middle hits, and if you deviate around the face even slightly, especially low on the face, you then may compromise your launch angle, compromise your peak height, and then compromise your descent angle. We talk about retention of ball speed, retention of distance, but if you are going to be moving around the face, you are going to start losing a little bit in the way of that as well. And so I would say 6-iron at the 70 miles an hour if you deliver like this. And of course, yes, you can change the sliders to change the parameters to suit how you swing, so you can see how it will go for you. But I would still say 6-iron, that absolutely would be the last one at 70 miles an hour. If you go 80 miles an hour though, Exactly the same, -2, -2. Don't change a thing, just add 10 miles an hour worth of speed. And max carry is now 148, losing 5 yards now in the average carry, 143. Peak height of 30 yards and descent angle near on 48 degrees. Because this golf club does very, very good at launch factor, getting the golf ball up, even at 80 miles an hour, if you swing the way you can see there, you can go all the way to 4-iron. And at 43.2 degrees, that has got enough wiggle room in it to be functional. Now, of course, if you deliver slightly different and you de-loft a little bit more, then you're not going to see this. There's a whole idea of trying to do -2, -2 in every single review that I do this on, to try and be as fair and for continuity purposes as possible, so you can do a cross comparison if you wish. But if you now go to 90 miles an hour, the full-on 90 miles an hour, you haven't got to worry, because you're looking now, max carry is 166, average carry is 161, peak height's at 39 yards in the air, but descent angle is 51.5 degrees. It's just going. Now, I see more distance than what you see here, because I don't deliver -2, -2. I deliver it a little bit more angle attack down, and I also deliver a little bit more shaft lean as well. I de-loft a little bit more. So I'm normally around about sort of -4 to -5 then on the shaft lean. So I produce more distance. I don't necessarily see the peak height that you'll see here and the descent angle, but then at 90 miles an hour, as you can see there, with 4 irons going at nearly 47.5 degrees, that you don't necessarily need to deliver at -2 at this kind of speed, because you've got plenty of speed to help you on your way. So to conclude on the Titleist T250, first of all, let's brush on the Titleist T250 launch spec first. Titleist have decided to do the launch spec. The reason why I haven't done a review of the launch spec as yet as such is because it's not available within the custom fit heads that I had available. Now, they do make with the custom fit heads that weight that's in the back there, and you can exchange that weight for a lighter weight, the 6-gram lighter weight, which is effectively within reason what the T250 launch spec is. The T250 launch spec is their T250 head, within reason no different, with more loft. It's got 35 degrees of loft for a 7-iron rather than 30.5, I think this is for the 7-iron here, but it has 6 grams less of weight in the head. So they're taking 6 grams of weight out of the tungsten in the sole, in the heel and toe. Now, there is an issue with that. The problem is other manufacturers have done that in the past, and other manufacturers do it a different way. Other manufacturers have gone take weight out and add more loft. Other manufacturers have gone add more loft and make the head slightly bigger and move the center of gravity, keep the weight exactly the same, but move the center of gravity down. The problem with taking weight out of the head, and it has a problem when it comes to its smash factor, its efficiency. When you remove mass from the head, you don't transfer the same amount of energy into the golf ball, because the head itself is lighter. It's that difference between hitting something with a brick and hitting something with a brick made of foam. It's still a brick, it's just the density is less, and so you're not going to transfer the same speed or ball speed. You may be able to move the mass faster, possibly. That's not always a given exactly, but commonly, yes, if you're going to make something lighter, it's a potential for making it move faster. That also depends on shafts, etc., but you kind of get the idea. But because of the lighter head, it then doesn't transfer the amount of energy that the slightly heavier or normal head would. Also, we're taking weight out of the bottom of the golf club when it comes to the tungsten. That's the most ideal way for Titleist and other manufacturers that have made light heads for their high launch options. It then affects the MOI, and it also affects the launch factor. One massive thing with the high launch idea, or the launch spec idea for all the manufacturers, is for height. It's for trying to get the golf club moving as fast as possible for the slow swing speed golfers, and also trying to get the golf ball going up as high as it can do. So we take weight out and add more loft. Okay, if you take weight out of the head though, then you affect its launch factor. So even though you've added more loft, it then doesn't convert as much launch from that higher dynamic loft as the standard head would. So to conclude on the Titleist T250, from a looks, feel, performance and forgiveness. Looks and feel first. Looks, it just looks nice. Titleist know how to make good looking golf clubs with the family now as such, with the T100, T150, 250 and T350, you could honestly blend these all through the bag and it would look a really, really nice golf bag. And of course, if you can use the characteristics that all of these golf clubs have got, which do really well. I mean, the launch factor on this golf club does really, really well. So if you're looking for this one to blend, say with T100, T150, and then into the T250 from a long iron perspective, mid to long iron perspective, it'll work really, really well. The forgiveness is much better than the old one. The big thing when it comes to is the feel. The feel is, shall we say, no different to that of the T200. I know there's been some people that says, oh, the sound is much different. I've hit the T200 and then the T250. They sound basically identical. I cannot tell which one I'm using. Going to a T100 or T150 and then hitting the T250, yes, that is one heck of a difference. It sounds like a gun going off compared to a T100 or T150. And so there you go. From that point of view, that's my opinion. I don't see there's no difference in sound whatsoever. Forgiveness wise, well done Titleist. You've gone from the T200, which done, let's be honest, terribly for its forgiveness, its retention of ball speed across the face. With the T250, the heel still doesn't like heel shots, but again, it's the heel, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. But on its toe and low, it is done very, very well. It is a pretty decent upgrade. If you've got a set of T200s and you hit it anywhere other than the middle, well, not heel, but you kind of get the idea, then the T250 absolutely should be on your list to test as a potential possible upgrade. Hope you liked the video. If you did, go and give it a big old thumbs up. Hit that like button. YouTube likes, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free. It is great for the channel if you could subscribe, so thank you. Next, that one is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.